Hi there, my name is Wayne Hedlund, and today we're going to talk about 5 ways to reduce clutter in your Asana environment. Now, most of us understand what that word clutter means. When we think of clutter, we think of a mess. We think of all the various things that are sitting around or being around us in our environment that really don't make sense. They don't need to be there. When I think of a cluttered environment, I think of, a time when we took this giant box of Legos and dumped it out in our living room floor to be able to make a creation with our family. If you think of this environment, think of this situation, I'm trying to find just one piece. It's the red Lego that's got, the 4 connectors. It's the thin one, and I need it to be able to connect to the rest of the project that I'm trying to build. As a matter of fact, maybe there's several pieces that are similar to that piece that I need to find. And these are the pieces that are important to me in this moment. For this next 15 minutes, for this next half hour in my Lego project, I need these pieces. The problem is they're mixed in with this massive pile of other Legos. And I've spent more time digging through Legos than I spend trying to find the piece that I want. The problem with Asana and the environment that we have in Asana is this. Oftentimes, especially as we've been using it more and more, we have this clutter that starts to build up. It's old projects, or it's various tasks that were created maybe a long time ago for one thing or another, and now they're just sitting there, but they've been assigned to various people. And so what happens is individuals try to use their My Tasks, and they can't. There's just way too much clutter. There's too much going on. And so they give up. They don't use a very important and effective tool in Asana because of all the clutter that's happening there. A lot of times when I perform an Asana workspace audit for organizations, this is the biggest deal breaker that I find, and it's sometimes the first key recommendation that I give to these organizational leaders is get rid of the clutter. And you'd think, well, isn't there more strategic things we can do as an organization to really increase our productivity and our workflow? Sometimes there is. But oftentimes just getting rid of the clutter and following some best practices for making sure that you're taking care of not just the project management side of Asana, but you're also empowering and helping your team members to be able to effectively organize their tasks and prioritize them well, then you're really increasing the overall efficiency of your organization. So this issue of getting rid of clutter is very important. As a matter of fact, I recently posted another video, an article called The 3 Most Important Best Practices in Asana. Now, I'm sure there are people who, might come to me and say, hey, they weren't the 3 most important. But to me, they are, because it helps to make sure that we're using every aspect of Asana the way we want to, that all of the gears are coming together and the Asana engine is firing well and we're getting where we want to go quickly. So let's dive into these 5 ways to remove clutter in our Asana environment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump over to this workspace. This is my friend Fred Flintstone, and Fred works at my company, and he's got a whole bunch of projects that he's part of. What's important right now is to see that Fred is looking at his My Tasks. The My Tasks feature in Asana is perhaps one of the most important features for personal productivity for each of our employees. This is where the employee is hopefully going to go and figure out what tasks he or she has to be able to focus on. And in another video, we'll talk about how to use My Tasks effectively. But in this particular case right now, we see that there's already a ton of clutter. We have a bunch of tasks here that are way overdue. And so for Fred, he has to, every time he comes into this space, he has to come in here and just start scrolling through to try to find the tasks that are actually relevant to him today. It's like me with my pile of Legos trying to find that one red piece. He's coming in here going, what am I supposed to be working on today? And then finally he pops in here and he realizes, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working on this RFI and demo request. Not only is it due today, but it's one of the tasks in my to-do list, but he has to scroll through all of this clutter. And the fact of the matter is if organizations take steps to get rid of the clutter and they follow best practices for managing the clutter, Fred is going to be empowered to do what he really needs to be doing. So let's talk about them. We're going to talk about the 5 Ways to reduce clutter. We'll start with number 5 and we'll work our way to number 1. The first one, number 5, is to not go overboard on creating tasks. A lot of times, sometimes there are people, sometimes it's as project managers, sometimes it's people who maybe tend to be a little bit more analytical than other people, but they really, really like to add a lot of tasks to the project. And sometimes this can be great. But oftentimes what happens is they get a little bit task or perhaps subtask happy. So here's a task that says arrange time with the customer to sync and demo. So basically Fred's going to need to call a customer, have a conversation, take some notes, and make sure those notes get put where they're supposed to get so that we can set up a time for our event, our meeting. But our account manager or project manager got really excited about this task, and if we scroll down, we'll see a number of subtasks. Call the customer, take notes during the call, edit, review the notes, convert the notes to a PDF, attach the notes to this task, and then mark the task as complete. So I have a whole bunch of tasks here that are subtasks that have been given the same due date as my parent task, and they've been assigned to my friend Fred. So what's happened here is we have clutter. These subtasks are not necessary. So when Fred's looking at this one task, what he might not even realize is all of these tasks here are all the same task. They're all part of this task. Now, sometimes it's important to create steps for people so that they understand what needs to happen to get something done. Maybe there's some instructions or steps, and sometimes they need to be assigned to people. But oftentimes, steps are simply that. It's just a list of procedures to help us make sure that we follow certain protocol. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and remove the due dates, and I'm also going to remove my friend Fred from all of these tasks. And now Fred's, my tasks have just kind of gotten cleaned up just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. There we go. Remove Fred. All right. So now we've cleaned up a little bit of clutter by not being so task happy and task centric. All right, the next thing. So the number 5 is don't go overboard on tasks. Number 4, only use Asana My Tasks for action. So I'm going to go ahead and look at, I'm going to group my Fred's tasks here by sections. And I'm going to notice, I'm going to have you notice something here. He's got a bunch of sections here, but he has one section called blog post ideas. And he has a number of just random, this is a brainstorm that he has here of just different ideas to put on his blog post. And so he just wanted to collect them and make sure he's able to keep track of them. The problem is every one of these tasks are assigned to Fred. If I go to this task right here, we'll see right here, it's been assigned to my friend Fred. So now Fred's to-do list. Remember, My Tasks is really his to-do list. It's just, gummed up now with a ton of extra information. I'll see this for a number of things. A lot of times executives will do this. So there'll be a section, called books to read, or there'll be a section called, goals brainstorm, or strategic ideas, or various things here. And all it is a list of things that people want to think about or process later, but they're not actionable. Okay, so what we want to do instead of having all of these tasks gumming up and providing clutter to Fred, we're going to go ahead and just put them in to a project. So just create a new project. It can even be a private project if necessary, but create a new project and go ahead and put all of these tasks in that project. So I'm going to highlight all of these tasks, and I'm going to go ahead and remove Fred from the list here. So I'm going to open up Assignee and just pour Fred here. We're going to take all of these tasks here and highlight them all, and we're going to remove Fred. So what I've just done now is I've helped Fred be a little bit more clutter free. All these tasks are going to go away from blog post ideas. If I did the job, there they go, they're gone. I can actually even get rid of this section now, and we're good to go. Now, if Fred wants to remember to look at that brainstorm, then you know what? Maybe it's important. Let's go ahead and put one task in here for Fred that says review blog brainstorm list. And so I can give this is already assigned to Fred because he's in My Tasks. I'm going to give that a deadline of, let's say, today. And then I might make it recurring. And in this particular case, this is appropriate to make it periodically, and maybe every 14 days. 14 days after he completes this task, he's going to go ahead and do it. So instead of having 30 tasks in his to-do list, he has one task to remind him to go over to those blog post ideas and to look through them and organize them or sort them. And so when he gets it done, he's going to check that off as done. And of course, Asana is going to create a new task for him with a new due date for 14 days out. All right, so the second thing is only use Asana My Tasks for actionable tasks. Number 3, getting rid of clutter for our team members and for ourselves is to remove old templates. I see this a lot, especially organizations that have been using Asana for a while, where, maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago or 2 years ago, they created a template and they assigned all of the individuals to the right people and they gave due dates, etc. But they called it a template. This is actually a project. It's not a template as Asana, defines templates today. This was just a project that was used to create a template. And back in the day, before Asana really designed and developed a really robust template system, this was how we kind of did templates. And then when we wanted to roll the template out, we actually had to duplicate it. The problem now is that's no longer necessary. We can get rid of these old templates because Asana is going to let us actually turn this into a template. And the great advantage is once it's turned into a template, all these tasks that are sitting in here in Fred's My Task list that are associated with the template will go away. So what we want to do, and this is actually super important, is we want to probably just delete the entire project. My recommendation is to go ahead and at the very minimum go in and highlight all those tasks and make sure we remove Fred or whoever is assigned to various things. And we might even remove those due dates. And so now these are just empty tasks. Now, first of all, of course, I'm going to convert it into the template. Before I even do that, I'll convert it into save it as a template. But then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and actually just delete this project altogether. I no longer need it. It's a template. And so now I've just reduced more clutter for my friend Fred. I've gotten rid of a number of other tasks, and you'll see now things are starting to get cleaned up. There's no longer a ton of leftover tasks there that are irrelevant to my team member. So that was number 3. To review, number 5, don't go overboard on tasks. Number 4, only use Asana My Tasks for action. Number 3, remove those old templates and switch them over to Asana templates. Number 2, remove assignees from tasks in archived, old, or on hold projects. A lot of people don't realize this, but if we archive a project and there are incomplete tasks in that project that are assigned to a person, those tasks will still show up in their to-do list. So I happen to know that this Rite Aid RFI and demo right here, that project got kind of didn't get finished. There were a few tasks that were taken care of here, and I think even some subtasks were taken care of. But at some point in time when we tried to arrange a time with the customer to sync and demo, the whole project got bombed and it got canceled. And so somebody came in and they did the smart thing. They archived the project. So now we'll see that this project is no longer showing up in our project list in the team. But so they've archived it. I can unarchive it right there, and now it's active again. And then I'll just go ahead and archive it. And that's great to archive it. The problem is there's still a number of incomplete tasks in here that have been assigned to Fred. And even though these tasks have been assigned to Fred, even though this project has been archived, because they've been assigned to Fred, they're still showing up here in his to-do list. So again, we're going to come in, we're going to go in and ideally, we're going to, at the very minimum, either mark those tasks as complete, if that's appropriate, or we'll at least remove Fred from all those tasks. Now that I've removed Fred, the project's already archived. I can always access this project later if I want to. But now when I go to Fred's My Tasks, oh my goodness, this is really starting to get cleaned up. I'm not feeling nearly so overwhelmed for Fred anymore. In fact, he only has one task that's overdue. So we're doing really, really well. I'm very thankful. So number 2 was remove assignees from tasks that are in archived, old, or on hold projects. And then the last, number 1, way to remove clutter from your organizational workspace in Asana is to always remember to never assign non-actionable tasks to a person. So I'm just going to come in here to a demo project I'm calling Project ABC, and you'll notice that we've created a section called Reference. And inside the Reference section, there are 3 tasks. Now, a lot of times I encourage people to put this information in the Overview section. Instead of putting the budget right here inside of a task, I might actually just come into Overview and put some information right here. This is our budget for this particular project. But sometimes there are reasons for us to have reference tasks. And incidentally, if you have tasks in a project that are reference, a couple of suggestions that I would make is create a section called reference, okay? Put those tasks that are reference tasks that are non-actionable inside that reference. And then I would actually recommend that you collapse that reference section so that you can see the other tasks that are more important for us to be looking at regularly. And then of course we're going to save the layout as default so that when everyone else goes into this project, they'll be able to see this same view. That said, as we roll into and look at these 3 tasks, we've got a budget, we've got a scope of work. This is just a reference. It's the information about this project and maybe some information, contact information for our client. If I'm going to put them in here as individual tasks, what we've done that we really shouldn't do is we assigned them to Fred. Maybe we know Fred's in charge of the budget, or maybe he's the project manager. And so we think, hey, Fred's the one that's going to make sure the budget happens here. And so we put Fred here. The problem is there's no action here. This is not something Fred needs to do. It's just a reference. So as we go to Fred's My Tasks, now we'll find those tasks are sitting in here somewhere. As we scroll to the very bottom of his list here, there they are. A bunch of tasks that he really does not need to have in his to-do list. As a matter of fact, if we jump over to recently assigned, there they are: budget, scope of work, etc., etc. And if he wants to organize his to-do list, he doesn't even know where to put these, because where is he going to put this non-actionable task? He's going to do later? No, because it's not a do. There's no do involved. So now he's forced to create new sections inside of his tasks, and we're using the to-do list in a way that we shouldn't. No, we're just going to go in here, we're going to open up this reference, we're going to highlight these 3 tasks, and we're going to remove Fred. He does not need to be the assignee. Now, if for some reason we really want to know who's responsible, we can always create a custom field that says responsible and put Fred in there. But then at least Fred's My Tasks is going to be as clean as it possibly can be. And he's going to be empowered to now hopefully be able to organize and prioritize his tasks to the best of his ability and be able to get things done. And again, this for your whole team is going to maximize the efficiency of the team. And you need to get everybody on board. But getting rid of this clutter is, in my opinion, a key factor in helping our organization use Asana optimally. All right, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, if you found this meaningful, feel free to subscribe. Have a great, great day. Bye now.